My wife kissed me goodbye with lipstick that wasn't hers and a suitcase packed with lies. She said it was a work conference in the Dominican Republic. What she didn't know was that I'd already found her hotel confirmation, booked under another man's wife's name. She thought she was clever, but I was about to show her what happens when you play house with someone else's credit card. By the time I was done, her lover's wife would get front row seats to their romantic getaway, and my cheating wife would learn that some bills come with interest she never saw coming. My name is Dwayne Craig. I'm 52 years old, and I've been running Craig Pool Services in suburban Phoenix for the past 15 years. It's honest work, keeps me in shape, pays the bills, and gives me plenty of time to think while I'm skimming leaves and balancing chemicals. Problem is, all that thinking time didn't help me notice my wife Samantha was planning her own little vacation getaway. The morning she left, I was already up at 5:30, loading my truck with equipment for the Henderson account. Their pool had been giving me grief all week, pH levels all over the place, like someone had been dumping who knows what in there. Samantha came downstairs in this flowing sundress I'd never seen before, wheeling a suitcase that looked way too fancy for a work conference. "Morning, honey," she said, giving me one of those quick pecks on the cheek that wives give when they're thinking about something else entirely. "Don't forget I'll be gone until Tuesday. The nonprofit retreat in Dominican Republic, remember?" I looked up from my coffee. "Dominican Republic? I thought you said it was in Miami." She didn't miss a beat, just laughed and waved her hand. "Oh, you know how these things change. They moved at last minute to some resort down there. Better tax write-off or something." That should have been red flag number one. Samantha worked for a local women's shelter, not exactly the type of organization that throws money around on Caribbean getaways. But I was focused on my own problems. Mrs. Henderson's pool wasn't going to fix itself, and I had 3 other stops before noon. "Well, have fun at your retreat," I said, grabbing my keys. "Try not to spend too much on those fancy resort drinks." She laughed again, but it sounded different. "Nervous, maybe. Oh, you know me. I'll be too busy with seminars and workshops to even think about the bar." I should have asked more questions. Should have wondered why she needed 3 different swimsuits for educational seminars. Should have noticed that her work materials looked suspiciously like vacation reading. But I was already running late, and the Arizona sun was already promising another scorcher. "Love you," I called out as I headed for the truck. "Love you too," she replied, but she was already looking at her phone. That evening, after 8 hours of fighting algae blooms and unclogging skimmers, I came home to an empty house that felt different somehow. Quieter, like it was holding its breath. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and noticed Samantha's laptop sitting open on the kitchen counter, which was weird because she usually took it everywhere. The screen was still active, showing her email inbox. I wasn't trying to snoop, but her last open message was right there in bold letters. Confirmation, Ocean View Resort Punta Cana. Guest, Mrs. Bradford Ryder. Couples Paradise Package. Mrs. Bradford Ryder. Not Mrs. Dwayne Craig. Not even Mrs. Samantha Craig. I stared at that screen for a long minute, my beer getting warm in my hand. 24 years of marriage, and my wife was booking hotel rooms under someone else's name. Someone named Bradford Ryder, who apparently had a wife generous enough to pay for my wife's romantic getaway. That's when I stopped being blind. I sat there staring at that email confirmation for maybe 10 minutes, my brain trying to process what I was seeing. Bradford Ryder. The name kept bouncing around in my head like a pinball. Who the hell was Bradford Ryder? And why was his wife paying for my wife's romantic getaway to the Dominican Republic? Then it hit me like a sledgehammer. Samantha wasn't just cheating. She was using this guy's wife's identity to cover her tracks. Smart, but not smart enough to log out of her email. I took a screenshot of the confirmation, then another of the booking details. Ocean View Resort Punta Cana. Premium Ocean View Suite. Couples Paradise Package. Complete with champagne, rose petals, and couples massage. Real classy, Sam. But here's the thing about being in the pool business for 15 years. You learn to think strategically. When someone's pool chemistry is out of whack, you don't just dump chlorine and hope for the best. You test the water, identify the problem, and apply the right solution at the right time. My wife thought she was clever, but she forgot she was married to a man who solves problems for a living. I opened my laptop and pulled up the resort's website, found their customer service number and dialed. "Good afternoon, Ocean View Resort Punta Cana. This is Carlos speaking. How may I assist you today?" "Hi, Carlos," I said, putting on my friendliest voice. I'm calling about a reservation under the name Bradford Ryder. I'd like to make some changes to surprise my wife. Certainly, Mr. Ryder. May I have a confirmation number? I read off the number from Samantha's email. Listen, it's our anniversary, and I want to make this trip extra special. Can you upgrade us to your best couple suite? The works, ocean view, champagne, rose petals, the whole 9 yards. Absolutely, Mr. Ryder. We have our presidential couples suite available. It includes premium ocean view, private hot tub, daily champagne service, couple spa package, and romantic dinner on the beach. The upgrade would be an additional $800. Perfect. And Carlos, make sure everything gets billed to the card on file under Mrs. Bradford Ryder. It's a surprise, so she'll be handling all the expenses. Of course, sir. And would you like me to leave a special message in the room? I smiled, feeling that familiar satisfaction I got when I balanced a tricky pool chemistry problem. Yeah, leave a card that says, "Happy anniversary, darling. Hope this trip is everything you deserve. Love, your devoted husband." Beautiful sentiment, Mr. Ryder. I'll have that written in calligraphy, in place with the champagne. Is there anything else? Just make sure the billing goes through smoothly. We want this to be a trip to remember. After I hung up, I leaned back in my chair and opened another beer. My wife thought she was taking her lover to the Dominican Republic for a secret getaway. What she didn't know was that I just upgraded their room to the most expensive couple's suite in the resort and billed every penny of it to his wife. By tomorrow, Mrs. Bradford Ryder, whoever she was, would be getting a very interesting credit card statement, and Bradford would have some serious explaining to do. Game on, Samantha. The next morning, while I was testing the chlorine levels of the Henderson pool, my phone buzzed with notifications I've been waiting for. Banking alerts. Mrs. Bradford Ryder's credit card was getting a workout down in Punta Cana. $800 for the suite upgrade, $300 for premium spa services, $150 for champagne service, another $200 for the romantic beach dinner. By 10 a.m., they'd already racked up over $1,500 in charges, and the day was just getting started. I couldn't help but grin as I balanced the pool chemicals. Somewhere in the Dominican Republic, Samantha and her boyfriend Bradford were living it up in luxury, completely oblivious to the storm brewing back home. And somewhere else, Mrs. Bradford Ryder was about to discover exactly where her husband had been spending their money. But I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. That afternoon, I did what any curious husband would do. I started digging. Social media makes it real easy to find people these days, especially when you've got a name and know they're married. Took me about 20 minutes to track down Bradford Ryder on LinkedIn. Regional sales manager at Phoenix Electronics. Married to Corinne Ryder for 19 years. 2 kids in college. Corinne's Facebook page was public, and it told a story that made my blood boil. Family photos going back years. Vacation pictures from anniversaries that Bradford apparently wasn't too busy to attend back then. Post about their son making Dean's List, their daughter's soccer championships. This was a woman who believed in her marriage, who trusted her husband, just like I had trusted Samantha. But here's what really caught my attention. Corinne worked as a volunteer coordinator for a domestic violence shelter. She helped women who'd been betrayed and abandoned. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I looked up the shelter's website and found their general contact email. Then I sat down and wrote the most important email of my life. Mrs. Ryder, you don't know me, but I think you should know where your credit card has been used this week. My wife Samantha Craig and your husband Bradford are currently enjoying a romantic getaway at the Ocean View Resort in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. They're staying in the presidential couple's suite, which I understand was upgraded using your card. I've attached screenshots of the hotel confirmation and recent charges. I'm sorry you have to find out this way, but I thought you deserved to know the truth. A fellow betrayed spouse. I attached the screenshots, took a deep breath, and hit send. Within an hour, my phone rang. Unknown number with a Phoenix area code. Is this the man who sent me those photos? The voice was calm, controlled, but I could hear the steel underneath. Yes, ma'am. This is Dwayne Craig. Mr. Craig, she said, I think we need to talk. Corinne Ryder had the kind of voice that told you she'd dealt with liars before. Steady, no nonsense, like she was used to cutting through someone's garbage to get to the facts. I respected that immediately. Mr. Craig, I need you to tell me everything you know, she said. And I mean everything. So I did. 24 years of marriage, the gradual changes in Samantha, the fake conference story, finding the hotel confirmation on her laptop. I told her about the upgrade I'd ordered, about the romantic note I'd had them leave, about every single charge that was probably hitting her credit card as we spoke. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, there was a long silence. "Mr. Craig," she finally said, "I've been working with betrayed women for 8 years. I know the signs, I know the patterns, and I apparently missed every single one in my own marriage." "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "I don't know. Bradford's been traveling more for work, staying late at the office, all the usual cliches. I thought he was just stressed about the kids' college expenses." She paused. "But looking back, it's been about 6 months since he started acting different." 6 months. That lined up with when Samantha had started her yoga classes and girls' nights out. "Mrs. Ryder, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I figured you deserved to know before this went any further." "Call me Corinne," she said, "and you did the right thing. Question is, what do we do now?" That caught me off guard. Mr. Craig, Dwayne, our spouses are down there right now, spending my money on their affair. They used my credit card information to fund their betrayal. As far as I'm concerned, that makes us partners in this situation. I like her already. What did you have in mind? Well, first things first. I'm calling the credit card company to report fraudulent charges. Not the hotel upgrade. That was your brilliant idea, and I appreciate it. But I'm going to dispute every charge they make from here on out. That'll strand them down there. That's the point, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. But I'm also thinking bigger picture. Bradford works in electronic sales. His clients trust him with expensive equipment, installations. Sometimes they pay him directly for custom work. What do you think would happen if word got around about his character issues? Now I was definitely smiling. I think Bradford might find himself looking for a new line of work. And Samantha works for a women's shelter, right? How do you think her board of directors would feel about an employee who helps married men deceive their wives? Corinne, I said, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Good. Because phase 1 starts in about 10 minutes when their credit cards stop working. 2 hours after Corinne and I finished our call, my phone started lighting up with notifications. Not credit card alerts this time. These were different. Declined transactions. Insufficient funds. Account frozen. I was grinning like a fool while I skimmed Mrs. Patterson's pool when the first panic call came through. Samantha's number flashed on my screen. I let go to voicemail. Then another call. Then another. By the time I finished testing the water chemistry, she called 6 times and left 3 increasingly frantic voicemails. Dwayne, something's wrong with our credit cards. None of them are working. Call me back immediately. Dwayne, I'm serious. There's some kind of problem with the bank. I can't even get room service. Where the hell are you? I need you to call the bank right now and fix this. But the real entertainment started around 4 p.m. when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Dominican Republic country code. I answered on the 4th ring. Dwayne Craig speaking. Mr. Craig. It was a man's voice, stressed, with a slight accent. This is Carlos from the Ocean View Resort. We spoke yesterday about the room upgrade. Oh yes, Carlos. How are Mr. and Mrs. Ryder enjoying their stay? There was a pause. Well, sir, that's why I'm calling. We're having some difficulty with payment processing. The credit card on file has been declined for additional services, and the guests are, well, they seem quite upset. I could hear shouting in the background. Samantha's voice, though I couldn't make out the words. That's strange, I said, putting on my most concerned husband voice. What kind of additional services? Room service, spa treatments, excursions. The suite upgrade went through fine yesterday, but everything since then has been declined. Mrs. Ryder is insisting there must be some mistake. Have you tried explaining the situation to Mr. Ryder? Another pause. That's part of the problem, sir. Mr. Ryder seems to be, how do I put this, unaware of some of the charges. There appears to be some confusion about who authorized what. I bet there was. Bradford was probably getting his first real look at what his little romantic getaway was actually costing his wife. Well, Carlos, I'm sure they'll work it out. These things happen with married couples sometimes. Of course, sir. But until payment is resolved, we'll need to suspend their access to resort amenities. They can remain in the suite since that was already paid for, but no additional services. That seems fair. I'm sure Mrs. Ryder understands. After I hung up, I leaned back in my truck and opened a cold beer. Somewhere in paradise, Samantha and Bradford were discovering that their romantic escape had turned into a prison. No room service, no spa treatments, no excursions, no minibar access. Just them, alone in their fancy suite, with nothing to do but face the reality of their situation. And the best part? They had no idea this was just the beginning. The next morning brought even better entertainment. I was replacing the filter on the Johnson's pool when Corinne called with an update that made my day. "Dwayne," she said, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "You should have seen Bradford's face when he walked through the door at 2 a.m. He came home." "Oh yes." Apparently they managed to catch a red-eye flight, though I have no idea how they paid for it. Probably maxed out what was left on his personal credit card. She chuckled. "He tried to sneak in through the back door, but I was waiting up for him." I set down my tools and gave her my full attention. "How'd that go?" "Well, he started with the usual lies. Work emergency. Had to fly out suddenly. Didn't want to worry me. Then I pulled out the hotel receipts and photos that you'd sent me." "What did he say?" "First he tried denial. Said someone must have stolen his identity. Then when I showed him the pictures of him and Samantha at the resort, apparently they posted them on social media like a couple of teenagers, he switched to claiming it was all her idea. That sounded like Bradford. Throw Samantha under the bus to save his own skin. Did you buy any of it?" "Dwayne, I've been counseling betrayed women for 8 years. I know every lie in the book, and Bradford isn't nearly as creative as he thinks he is." Her voice got harder. "But here's the interesting part. When I confronted him about using my credit card for the whole thing, he looked genuinely confused." "Confused how?" "He swore up and down that Samantha had told him her husband was paying for everything. Said she'd booked the room, arranged the upgrade, even ordered that romantic note. He thought you were footing the bill for your wife's affair." I started laughing. I couldn't help it. "So he thought I was some kind of pushover who'd pay for his wife to cheat on him?" "Apparently. And when I told him that actually her husband had arranged for everything to be billed to me, and that I've been getting real-time updates on every charge they made." She paused for effect. "Well, let's just say Bradford realized he'd been played. Is he still there?" "Oh no. I told him he had until sunrise to pack his things and get out. His brother's picking him up in about an hour." "Corinne, you're amazing." "I'm not done yet, Dwayne. I called Bradford's boss this morning. Told him there might be some character issues affecting Bradford's ability to handle client finances responsibly. Apparently Bradford had been taking advances on commissions for some big deals that haven't closed yet. That doesn't sound good for Bradford." "It's not." And I also sent a very detailed email to the board of directors at Samantha's shelter. Included all the evidence, all the receipts, and a thoughtful note about how an employee who helps married men deceive their wives might not be the best representative for an organization dedicated to helping vulnerable women. I was grinning so hard my face hurt. "Corinne, remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late for that advice for our spouses. They picked the wrong people to betray." Samantha finally made it home 3 days later, looking like she'd been through a blender. I was pressure washing the Williams family pool when I saw her beat-up taxi pull into our driveway. She climbed out slowly, dragging that fancy suitcase behind her like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I finished cleaning the pool filter and took my time packing up my equipment. Let her stew for a while. When I finally walked through the front door, she was standing in the kitchen with her phone pressed to her ear, tears streaming down her face. "Please, you have to understand," she was saying. "This is all a misunderstanding. I can explain everything if you just give me a chance to." The person on the other end hung up. Samantha stared at the phone like it had bitten her. "Rough day?" I asked, setting my keys on the counter. She spun around, and I got my first good look at her. Sunburned, hair a mess, makeup smeared. This wasn't the confident woman who'd left for her conference 4 days ago. "Dwayne, thank God you're here," she said, rushing toward me. "Something terrible has happened. Someone's been using our credit cards, and there's been some kind of identity theft, and now the shelter is saying—" "The shelter fired you," I said calmly. "I know." She stopped in her tracks. "You know? How do you know?" "Same way I know about Bradford Ryder. Same way I know about the presidential couple's suite at the Ocean View Resort. Same way I know about the romantic note you thought I'd written." The color drained from her face. "Dwayne, I can explain." "No need." Bradford already explained everything to his wife, Corinne. "You know, the woman whose credit card you've been using all week." Samantha's legs gave out. She sank into one of the kitchen chairs like someone had cut her strings. "You knew," she whispered. I knew. The question is, what did you think was going to happen when you got home? She looked around the kitchen like she was seeing it for the first time. This is still my home. We can work through this. Marriage counseling, whatever you want. I made a mistake, but I pulled a manila envelope from the counter and slid it across the table to her. Open it. Her hand shook as she broke the seal. Inside were divorce papers, already filed, along with a copy of our marriage certificate and property deed. The house was mine before we got married, I said. I never bothered changing the deed because I trusted you. Guess that worked out after all. You can't just throw me out, she said, but her voice had no strength in it. I'm not throwing you out. I'm evicting you. There's a difference. You got until Sunday to pack your things and find somewhere else to live. Where am I supposed to go? I don't have a job anymore. My credit cards are frozen, and Bradford won't even take my calls. Maybe you should have thought of that before you decided to play house with another woman's husband, using her credit card. She started crying then. Real tears, not the manipulative kind she used when she wanted something. Dwayne, please. 24 years has to count for something. It did count, I said, heading for the door, right up until you decided it didn't. The next evening, while Samantha was upstairs packing what was left of her life, I got a call I wasn't expecting. The name on the screen made my blood run cold. Danny Morrison. I hadn't heard from Samantha's ex-boyfriend in over 25 years. Dwayne Craig. The voice was rough, older, but I recognized it. Danny, this is a surprise. Yeah, I bet. Listen, I got some information you might want to hear. About Samantha. I walked out to my truck and closed the door. I'm listening. I hear she's been playing around, got herself in some trouble. That true? Where'd you hear that? Word gets around. Phoenix ain't that big when you know the right people. He paused. Thing is, I always wondered when this day would come. What do you mean? Samantha didn't tell you why we broke up back in the day, did she? I felt my stomach drop. She said you two just grew apart. Danny let out a bitter laugh. Grew apart. That's rich. Dwayne, she cheated on me with 3 different guys. One of them was my own brother. What? She had this pattern, see, get comfortable in a relationship, then start looking for the next best thing. I tried to warn you when you two started dating, but you were so head over heels, you wouldn't listen. I remember that conversation now. Danny had pulled me aside at a party, tried to tell me something about Samantha, but I'd written it off as jealousy from an ex-boyfriend. Why didn't you try harder to warn me? Would you have listened? You were convinced she was different with you. Thought you were special. His voice softened. Oh, maybe I thought she changed too. People deserve second chances, right? So you've known all these years that she was capable of this? Known? No. Suspected? Yeah. Especially after I heard through the grapevine about some of her friendships over the years. What friendships? The yoga instructor she was seeing about 3 years ago. The contractor who renovated your bathroom 2 years back. A guy from her book club last year. Danny sighed. I got friends all over this town, Dwayne. Word gets around when someone's wife is stepping out. I sat in stunned silence. 3 years of affairs I'd never suspected. Why are you telling me this now? Because you're a good man, and you deserve better. And because... He hesitated. Because there's something else. Something about why she really left that job at the first women's shelter 5 years ago. She said she wanted change. She got fired, Dwayne, for having an affair with a married board member. His wife found out, made some calls, and Samantha got quietly pushed out. Jesus. I'm sorry, brother. I should have spoken up years ago. But I figured if you were happy, it wasn't my business. He paused. But now that it's all coming out anyway, I thought you should know the truth about who you were really married to. After I hung up, I sat in my truck for a long time, watching the sun set over the Arizona mountains. 24 years of marriage, and I'd been living with a stranger. Saturday morning came with a bang. Literally. I was cleaning the Henderson pool when I heard what sounded like a gunshot from my neighborhood. My blood went cold as I recognized the sound. Car backfiring, probably Samantha's old Honda that she'd been driving since Bradford abandoned her. I raced home to find smoke pouring from my garage. Samantha stood in my driveway, wild-eyed and holding a gas can. My truck was engulfed in flames. You destroyed my life, she screamed when she saw me. 24 years, Dwayne. 24 years. And you threw it all away over one mistake. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, keeping my eyes on her and that gas can. One mistake, I said, staying calm. Danny Morrison told me about all your other mistakes, Sam. The yoga instructor, The contractor, the book club guy. Hell, you got fired from your last job for sleeping with a married board member. Her face twisted with rage. Danny called you? That lying piece of... He had receipts, Sam. Photos, dates, witnesses. You've been cheating our entire marriage. She swung the gas can at me, but I was ready for it. 24 years of handling pool chemicals had kept me in decent shape. I grabbed her wrist and twisted until she dropped the can. Dwayne Craig. 2 police officers approached us, hands on their weapons. That's me. She just set my truck on fire. She's lying. Samantha sobbed. This is my house, too. He can't just throw me out. Officer Johnson, who I recognized from the neighborhood watch meetings, looked at the burning truck, then at Samantha holding the gas can, then at me. Mr. Craig, do you want to press charges for arson? I looked at Samantha, really looked at her. Hair disheveled, clothes dirty, makeup smeared. This woman who'd shared my bed for 24 years, who I'd trusted with everything I had. She'd become a stranger capable of destroying my property in broad daylight. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. They cuffed her right there in my driveway, while the fire department put out what was left of my truck. She cursed me with every step toward the patrol car. This isn't over, Dwayne, she screamed. I'll take you for everything you've got. Good luck with that from jail, I called back. Officer Johnson stayed behind to take my statement. Mr. Craig, I hate to ask, but do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? Sometimes when domestic situations escalate like this. I looked at my house, that I'd paid for, that I'd maintained, that I'd shared with a woman who'd betrayed me in ways I was still discovering. I'll be fine, officer. This is my home. Has been for 15 years before I even met her. Well, she won't be bothering you for a while. Arson's a felony. She's looking at real prison time. After they left, I stood in my driveway looking at the charred remains of my truck. Corinne pulled up 20 minutes later. I heard the sirens, she said, getting out of her car. Are you okay? I'm perfect, I said, and for the first time in weeks, I meant it. How's your new life treating you? Better, every day. Bradford's living in a studio apartment, working at a car wash. Turns out when word gets around that you can't be trusted, the electronics business gets pretty small pretty fast. I laughed. And Samantha just got arrested for arson. Good, Corinne said. They made their choices. Now, they get to live with the consequences. 1 year later, I'm standing by the biggest pool I've ever worked on, a massive infinity design overlooking the Scottsdale Desert. The water is crystal clear, perfectly balanced, not a leaf or bug in sight. Just like I like it. My new truck is parked in the shade, company logo freshly painted on the side. Craig Pool Services, clear water, clear conscience. Business has never been better. Turns out word travels fast in Phoenix suburbs, and apparently, standing up to a cheating spouse makes you someone people want to hire. Corinne and I have been dating for 6 months now. Nothing rushed, nothing dramatic, just 2 people who've been through hell and found each other on the other side. She's teaching me to garden, and I'm teaching her about pool maintenance. It's peaceful in a way I never experienced with Samantha. My phone buzzes with a text from my lawyer. Samantha sentenced to 18 months for arson. Bradford got 2 years for embezzlement. Turns out he was stealing from clients to fund other affairs. Corinne's divorce finalized. You're both officially free. I smile and forward the message to Corinne. The homeowner, Mrs. Patterson, comes out with iced tea. Mr. Craig, you've done miracles with this pool. It's never looked better. Thank you, ma'am. The secret is consistency. Test the water regularly, address problems early, and don't let impurities build up. She nods knowingly. Sounds like good advice for more than just pools. After she goes inside, I sit on the pool deck and watch the sunset paint the desert mountains gold. Danny Morrison was right. I deserve better. But more than that, I'd finally learned to expect better. My phone rings. Danny Morrison. Hey Dwayne, how's life treating you? Better than I ever imagined. I say. Thanks for warning me about Samantha's history. Saved me a lot of grief. You deserve to know the truth. And from what I hear around town, you handled it like a real man. Respect. We both laugh at that. After we hang up, I finish packing my equipment. Tomorrow I'll clean the Morrison pool, then the Hendersons, then 3 new clients who hire me based on referrals. All of them families who value trust, honesty, and clear water. I drive home as the stars come out, past the courthouse where Samantha was sentenced, past the apartment complex where Bradford scrubs cars for minimum wage, past the women's shelter that's thriving under new leadership. My driveway is empty except for Corinne's car. She's inside making dinner, probably humming while she cooks like she always does. Real happiness, not the performance of happiness I lived with for 24 years. As I pull into my garage, the one I rebuilt after the fire, I think about how Samantha was right about one thing. I did destroy her life, but she destroyed mine first, one lie at a time, one betrayal at a time, one secret at a time. The difference is, I built something better from the ashes. She's still drowning in the mess she made, and my water has never been clearer.